the business and innovation side of the swine industry with Marcio Goncalves. Welcome, Marcio.
Thank you, Jim, for having me on this great platform that you are working on.
Yeah, we got you to join our podcast and instead of you're working on yours, right?
Right. Yeah, now we have Dr. Greiner leading our podcast, so I have a few hours left in my week now to talk to you.
So you got quite a journey. You came from Brazil. You grew up on a farm. Why did you choose North America and Kansas State University?
So growing up there, I always had this thing that I wanted to come to the US, maybe at high school age or something, which didn't happen. But I always liked how North America was very productive and efficient and seemed to get things done, was my feeling. And I was like, okay, I want to be on that environment. So that was it for North America. And then K-State is because I remember seeing a picture of was about adjusting feeders. You know how much feed you should have in the feeder, in the pen of the feeder, and I had that printed, and I was using that every week when I was visiting producers, and so I used that a lot. And I was like, okay, well, let's send an email and see if these guys accept me. And that was because it was real applied swine nutrition, and would help producers at the barn level, because as we know, there's a lot of research that sometimes it take a long time. Basic research is good and valuable, but takes decades to have impactful value.
So Kansas State, was there a few prospective schools in the running, or did you want to go there from the beginning?
No, I emailed Dr. Steve Dritz there, asked him two questions like, hey, can we get some consultancy from you here at the producer that I was working for, production company, and then the second question was if I wanted to do a graduate degree, how does that work? And I thought he would never reply, and he replied and started talking, interviewed. So
Manhattan, Kansas is the Little Apple, is that right?
Yeah, and I was there. This weekend I was there seeing a friend, Jamil, and so just came back from there.
So when you graduated, you had a good career. You started with PIC. So my question is, before you graduated or before going to K-State, did you have visions of owning your own business in the swine industry, or were you wanting a career in the industry? Where did that take shape and form?
Yes, I think so. When I was growing up, I did have a bunch of small businesses, things like I learned that if you breed 2 hamsters, you could sell the offspring, right, for $1 each or something. So that was an example of a teenager thing that I was doing, a bunch of things like that. But most of them actually involved animals, which is funny. And then also had a small startup 10 years ago, online, that didn't do well. And what else? And I also had this long-term plan of having my own company. Never knew when or how, and if that was going to happen. But there was a time that I was like, okay, well, let's pull the long-term plan trigger and see how that goes.
And some of it came from Ned Arthur's Swinecast. I think you started listening to that.
Yeah, so that was like 2010. I learned about Swinecast. I was doing my internship at Carthage before going back to Brazil to work there. And I was like, okay, I wish we had something like that in Brazil. And we opened a podcast in 2012, which, funny enough, just turned 10 years now. And we recorded a podcast this weekend in Manhattan there with Jamil, where we were talking about like the 10-year anniversary. So that was inspired by Swinecast for sure.
So you have a passion for business and the swine industry?
Yes. A passion for pigs, passion for animals in general, but also more recently, passion for business historically, but more recently, yes, what can we do to add the most value, right? And that ties into what we want to expand in the near future, which is the whole livestock, all livestock species, and also crops too in the future.
And does it go beyond? So it goes beyond the swine industry. What about the ag industry?
Yeah, we just confirmed the decision to our strategic plan, which is to basically expand exactly what we have right now to all livestock species and also crops, and why, right, is to add value. If we have a little formula to communicate and basically disseminate knowledge, we want to expand to other areas as well.
So you've been doing podcasts for a while, and then when you kind of launched into the Swine IT, I felt like it was a little more sexier at that time with getting that innovative content out there. What was the vision then and the vision moving forward?
Yeah, the vision, just like I said, create a positive impact, disseminate knowledge, and it goes back to what I mentioned about K-State, right? Being able to disseminate that technical knowledge to the producer that is there adjusting feeders every day. So I think that's been a passion, to be able to have a true impact at a farm level. And as you and I know, people's attention is one of the most scarce resource and valuable. And so I guess when you say, that's sexier, I guess our goal is to make it not boring, and we know and I'm a technical guy, and I'm a learner in general, but I guess even me, I get bored in some of the conferences or webinars or whatever. So our goal is to make it not boring.
Not boring yet informative. So it's like a good balance.
Right.
So I noticed before COVID, you guys were launching a popular virtual conference, or had one, Swine Talks. And then COVID happened, and then virtual conferences became the norm. So it seems like you had the forward thinking before COVID. How did that go? Where do you see that going in the future?
Right. So basically, we're planning on that online event before COVID happened, so we lost our thunder again, right? And at least we're able to keep that TED talk format, 18 minutes, no slides, which is still engaging even though it's online. I think everyone is thirsty for in-person events this year, which is a good thing. I think most everyone will be at the Expo in a few weeks. And Jim, I think there's value in the in-person and also on the online arena. You can leverage different things on those. From our case, we like to leverage experts from around the globe. Of course, in a regular conference, you can bring people from around the globe, but normally you are limited because, of course, it takes money to bring people from Australia, Europe, Asia, South America, whatever. So we like to use that leverage to be able to get insights from people, many people from other places. And then from what we do, what's happening this year, it's that, like you said, everyone is focused on an in-person event, so it's less crowded, which is also a good thing for us,
Did you have an event recently? Like, was it one last week or?
We did a webinar. We do only a handful of webinars per year, and we did one last week. But we also have the Pig Farm Revolution coming up in July, which is more focused on smart farming, And but a funny thing on this area of the virtual world, Jim, is that now it's been 2 or 3 weeks that now we have an office in the metaverse, right? Many people have heard about the metaverse. Like, okay, when is that going to be tangible? And there is a company, a startup called Gather. It's called Gather, I think, and the website is gather.town.
Yeah.
And we've been using that, and it's crazy for anyone that's listening and have a remote team. I highly recommend it. I recommend it because it's hard to describe, but it improves communication. That's the bottom line.
So we'll check out, it's gather.com.
I think it's gather.town.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the end of 2021, you guys had a special announcement about the swine campus. What does that mean for Swine IT?
So basically, that's our online courses platform, and so we've launched the Elite Swine Veterinarian. The Elite Swine Nutritionist about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, which is online training in swine nutrition for anyone that's interested. And then launching in a few weeks the Elite Swine Veterinarian with Dr. Rebecca Robbins and Dr. Jessica. I always got her last name, so C8, I think you pronounce SEATE. And we are launching very soon, in a month or so, what we call Swineit Plus, which is just like Disney Plus, the Netflix of the world, where you can get access and you get a series of online courses in pig production. Our goal is to launch one short course per month. So for any hot area, hot topic, or areas that people are interested, we want to have courses on those. We do have experience on that. We've been doing that in Brazil now for 3 years with almost 30 courses, but now we're bringing to English and Portuguese. So
it's kind of lifelong continuing education.
Yeah.
So rant time, Marcio, what do you need to get off your chest?
I think one topic that I got excited about is that in general, in the workplace, especially the technical folks, sometimes we get very perfectionist at things and never get the project done. So, I think it's super important to learn that sometimes done is better than the perfect that is never done. And also, if you think about innovation, and tie that into this topic, Elon Musk always says that is speed of innovation is more important than innovation itself. So so just maybe a message there for anyone that is super perfectionist, and I think there's a good healthy balance between that and also execution, of course, keeping the excellence, so giving our best, but making sure we are executing.
So do you see Swine Ed a competitor of swineweb.com, or do you think we complement each other a bit?
I think we complement each other. Swineit is very focused on knowledge dissemination, and the way I see Swine Web is more on the news and general information dissemination. So I think it's a good complement there.
You guys are producing kind of high-level education, good podcast, informational podcasts, and we can help kind of distribute that and get that knowledge out there to the industry and kind of work together. Now, you talked about expansion plans, crops, dairy, poultry. What would be first on the agenda?
Poultry. So we do have a project that we will launch. We'll see, but it might be in a month. A poultry podcast. I don't think we have a name yet, but that's the first. And and then once we got that little formula when it comes to launching into new areas, because we've been only working on the swine. Once we got that little process going, we do plan to expand faster to the others.
Yeah, so make sure to let us know what that is. We'll get that up on our poultry site. And
awesome.
Get that out there. Now, what do you love most about the Swine IT podcast?
I think the impact that it can have on the bottom line of swine producers. So at the end of the day, it's a pretty tough business, swine production, very volatile markets. And we talk about sustainability, and I think many people think about the environment when they think about sustainability, but also we should think about profitability being a key thing on being sustainable and having a business in the long term. So that impact, I would say, is what we like.
We're going to kind of wrap on this. What keeps you awake at night in regards to the swine industry and your business?
The other day, I learned about a book I think was the founder of Intel that wrote, and it's called "Only the Paranoid Survive." And I think it's true because, well, there is a quote that says that how do you translate that to English? Is stability doesn't exist, so it's very natural to humans to seek for stability and all that kind of good stuff, but it doesn't actually exist. For example, oh, I'm going to work for the government. Oh, great, it's very stable. Well, not if it's the government of Ukraine. So it doesn't actually exist. So I think being paranoid about that, about business, about being alive as a business or as an industry, is super important.
I think that's well said. We talked before the show. I kind of feel the same way. If you're not, you got to have that edge and to keep you driving. And when you're comfortable, then things usually go the other way. So to access the podcast, swineit.com. Is that right? Swine IT, Swineit.
Yeah, swineit.com. You're gonna find a lot of things we do. I believe the other URL, swinepodcast.com, is also working. But if you search on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, you're gonna find us there.
Thanks again for taking the time and joining us and sharing a bit of your story.
Well, I appreciate the invitation there, Jim, and wanted to congratulate again all the work Swine Web is doing in pigs, but also other species.
Thank you.
Good, my friend.